So, when we look at one of your goals with MyFitnessPal, right? So, macros. Okay, that's one of the first things it has you track. It has you track carbs, protein, fats. Okay, and then in parentheses we put alcohol. It doesn't track that separately. And you can even track water with that. Okay? These are the main constituents of food, right? In order to gain muscle mass, we need to have a balance of these nutrients plus the right types. Particularly with carbs and fats, there's lots of different types. Some are going to help you, some are not going to help you at all. The carbohydrates essentially break down into a few different groups, right? So for carbs, we have sugars, we have fiber, and we have starch. Put it as a goal in MyFitnessPal, it's to be one of our first goals, is keep total sugars at 35 grams or below. Too much sugar is going to inhibit your ability to create muscle. Fiber, we're going to keep around the same number, 35 grams or more. Starch is going to be about 100 grams. So let's talk about what this means, because I don't know about you, but I don't know how many paper clips worth of fiber you're getting and how you would even know what that is, right? So all nutrition labels, so let's just take, a food that you're eating like pad thai. There's some pad thai on there, right? It will give you a nutrition breakdown for calories. It'll say protein, maybe 5 grams. It'll say fats, might say 12, and then it'll say carbs, and maybe that's 45. Okay, of which it'll tell you the amount of sugars, which might be 5 grams, and it'll tell you fiber, which might be 2 grams. Okay? You can derive starch from that because starch equals carbs minus fiber minus sugars. Okay? It's the number that's in between here. So in this case, that's 7. So it is 38. Okay. So far, so good.
Yeah.
All right. You sure? Because I'm going to make it more complicated in a second.
I understand.
Okay, good. All right. Starch has good, bad, and almost terrible for what you're looking at. So we're looking at primarily what we call low, medium, high glycemic index. Okay? Glycemic index is a measure of how much your blood sugar goes up when you eat a certain foods. So things like your high foods, white rice, pasta, breaded foods, refined flour, white potatoes, juices, things like these. Okay? These are going to raise your blood sugar the same way sugar is going to be. If we look at some of the food that you've been eating, Alfredo pasta, well, pasta we said is high glycemic. Sandwich has bread. Bread is high glycemic. Doesn't matter that it's multigrain. Now, let me explain why. So, whole grains are generally good. Certain diets don't recommend them, but when you aggregate all the information, I think it's clear that they are helpful for more reasons than they're harmful. Mm-hmm. And the idea of multigrain just simply means multiple whole grains. Generally, more variety is better, so multigrain sounds great. However, whole grains are good when they are whole. The term whole grain actually comes from just a kind of a play on the word. It really responds to the whole of the grain. Okay? So, when you grind grains into a flour, you remove the whole. The whole lowers glycemic index. And the lower GI, glycemic index, is why whole grains are good to begin with. So, even though it says multigrain bread, it's really a flour. And flours are too high in glycemic index. So if you want to eat grains, and grains are fine, make sure they're entire grains, like what you get, whether it's wheat berries or spelt or whatever. You cook them. You have to cook grains. I mean, that's the reality of it. If it's processed into some other food, it's a processed food. Processed foods are going to interfere with your glycemic index, raise your blood sugar, and prevent you from gaining any muscle. Just that simple. Okay, let's go down. We're looking at your carbs on your list. So, when we're looking at a food diary for kind of carbohydrates, we're going to focus on the foods where the carbs are high, right? So, sushi, lunch, dinner, okay? So we have carbs, 82. That's a lot of carbohydrates at once. White rice is what's in sushi. So these are all high glycemic carbs, okay? Not only is it a problem because the carbohydrates are high, the amount of carbohydrates at one time is very high, way too high. You shouldn't have any more than 15 grams of kind of high glycemic carbohydrates at a time. At 80, you're causing all sorts of problems. Sushi is fine, just be careful about how much white rice you have. Brown rice is going to be better, but even then, it's an issue because the rice is overcooked. When you overcook something, you break down the structural integrity of the food, increasing the glycemic index. Sushi, by definition, needs to be overcooked in order for it to stick properly. So, this bistro bowl doesn't really have any carbs. The 8 grams that are in the carbs, though, are good because greens are a low glycemic index. So these are good carbs. So you had 82 bad, 8 good. Old-fashioned ice cream, this is all going to be sugar.
Nothing in that is good.
Nothing in that is good, nope. Strawberries and cream, so this is only 2, so that's not really something to worry about. Generally, your fruit is good. We want to make sure, though, that we have enough fiber to offset it. So let's go down to next day. So let's talk about milk, for example. The milk, carbohydrates all come from sugar. There's no fiber. Okay? We want our sugar fiber ratio of the meal to be 2-to-1 or greater, such as 2-to-2. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at your breakfast, eggs don't have any carbohydrates in them to speak of. That's why these are 0.
Mm-hmm.
And your strawberries, wrong day. Eggs are 2 grams. Milk is 20 grams of carbs, of which is 18. So your ratio is 18-0. Okay, that's far from 2-to-1.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're effectively missing 9 grams of fiber in this breakfast. Fiber slows down the action of the sugar. Okay? That's one of the reasons why people say dairy is not great for you. Milk in its kind of natural form is not very helpful because of the sugar problem. You would need to eat things like vegetables or whole grains to offset that sugar, so you don't send your body into insulin shock, essentially. Okay, let's go down a list. Chicken with spinach fettuccine. So the fettuccine has 19 grams. This must have been a very small package. This is only 19 grams. Again, since it's pasta, it's going to be high glycemic index. Pad Thai at 103 grams. So there will be some vegetables in there. Primarily, this is all coming from the noodles. Noodles are high glycemic index. Milk, we already said, has a high glycemic index. Flatbread is a bread. That's high glycemic index. Cider all comes from sugar, as you can see, 78 grams. So this is all sugar. And then we can see chocolate shake is all sugar.
Mm-hmm.
We have the bread that's creating the carbs here. Bread is high glycemic index. Sushi is high glycemic index. Okay? Now, your ratio of carbs protein on this particular day, 255 carbs to 71 grams protein. Okay, if you look at your Excel sheet, I'm pulling this number and I'm pulling this number. Okay, that ratio needs to be 4-3. This is not 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even close, right? It's like 4-1. Okay? Now, not only this, but it needs to be 4-3 of good carbs. If we look at what your carbs were here, we had just about no good carbs. So in reality, this is more like 0-3. Okay? These high glycemic carbohydrates cause problems with building muscle for other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to minimize the bad glycemic, and then I need you to replace all those carbs with good for you. Okay, so you're kind of getting what's going on here.
Yeah.
Okay, so how much grams of protein do you need to eat? So at least protein, 120 grams per day. And for carbs, at least 160 grams if not more, right? MyFitnessPal picked 2,400 calories for your amount of calories based on your goals. I think that's reasonable. I think you'll find, though, at 1,800 calories, when I put the restriction on good carbohydrates, this is going to be a challenge.
Right.
Because you're not eating any of those foods right now. Your body can handle sugar well. That's why you're still thin and you can eat this way. many people are overweight eating the same diet, so you have some good genetics. And it may not last that way when you're 40.
No, both my parents are super unhealthy. Okay. So that's just, I think, where a lot of it comes from.
Sure.
So.
But putting on muscle really requires, whether or not you can handle sugar well or not, it makes no difference. It still requires a very clean diet. It won't work otherwise. So that's really the goal here, is to figure out an alternate type of meal plan for you that would kind of satisfy these things. So why don't we do it together and come up with a sample day that's not going to kind of violate anything we talked about. And let's say we're going to talk, what's today? Wednesday, so we'll do maybe Saturday. Let's give you enough time to food shop, right? Alright, so what are we going to have for breakfast? It's up to you. Whatever you put in, I'm going to balance it and make sure it's even.
Yeah. So first question, how much of this is doable cooking versus eating elsewhere? Do you find that a hurdle?
No. You can eat out, you can get meal prep, you can cook yourself.
Okay. Breakfast? Well, I have eggs.
Okay. How many eggs?
Probably like 2 to 3, I don't know.
Okay. What do you put on the pan with the eggs?
Some type of oil.
Which one do you have in your house?
I really have no idea.
No idea.
To be honest with you.
So we're going to use, since you don't know, we're going to replace it. We're going to use walnut oil. Walnut oil has important fats, which we'll discuss another day. Just take my word for it that that's a good one to use. You can get walnut oil at Trader Joe's, at Whole Foods. You can get it on Amazon. Okay. We're going to take these 2 to 3 eggs. We're going to add half a cup of egg whites with them. Just buy egg beaters or any other brand you like to increase the protein. Eggs have 5 grams of fat and 6 grams of protein. Not nearly enough protein to fat. We're also looking for a 2-to-1 ratio here. Mm-hmm. So by adding egg whites, we can restore this ratio. Okay, so that's our breakfast. What kind of vegetables you put in with your eggs?
None.
None? What do you mean none? That's not the right answer. What about mushrooms? We do mushrooms with eggs?
I can.
Yeah, we'll put some mushrooms in there. And spinach works well with eggs. Cook these first, and then either fold them in like you're going to make an omelet, or you can make a scramble. These are good carbohydrates. They're going to help get us towards that good carbohydrate goal. Mm-hmm. Alright, what else do we want with the breakfast? We've got a lot of calories to get through. This is not enough. Why is it not enough? Our ratios are not any good. Right? We don't have enough carbohydrates. We have enough protein. We don't have enough carbohydrates. Putting on muscle is going to require just as much work and training as it is in eating. It's a reality, because if you don't have the food in your system, you cannot build muscle without the nutrients. It's just that simple. It can't come from nowhere. Right? So, how do you feel about Greek yogurt?
I can do it.
You like cottage cheese better?
No, probably yogurt more than cottage cheese.
Alright, so we'll do Greek yogurt. Plain. Unsweetened. You can add fruit to it. And what kind of nuts do you like?
Most anything.
We'll do almonds. And we're still going to be, I think our carbs are going to be okay now, because we have the fruit here, we have some carbs from here. Almonds have a little bit of carbs, and we have a little bit of carbs from here and here. So this is a little bit more balanced. Total calories when you log this in, looking at about 400 to 500 calories for breakfast. All right. Let's go with lunch. One word of caution, we'll likely repeat going through different meal plans. Even though I'm going to give you one, you cannot eat the same exact thing every day. It'll cause micronutrient imbalances. Everything from trace minerals like selenium and magnesium to certain vitamins. There's no way that any particular set of foods I pick is going to have everything needed. It's just not possible during a day, so you have to create variation.
Yeah.
The simplest way to do that is to swap likes for likes, right? Almonds, cashews. Okay? If you're doing blueberries one day, do raspberries another day. Okay, you can switch which vegetables you put in there, right? That creates variance. Make sense? Alright. So let's pick a lunch. I think you usually get lunch going out, right?
Yeah, just around where I work.
Well, if that's what you're used to doing, I would recommend you go with Power Supply. We are a shipping depot for them.
We have it at the...
You have it up there? Okay, well there you go. Power Supply, in terms of paired meal, it's pretty good. They do, especially their paleo one, is going to minimize most bad carbs. Paleo doesn't quite go far enough as people give it credit for. So you want to watch for things like honey, fruit sauces. I think in Power Supply in particular, these are going to be your major ones that may add to it. You'll see it. They usually don't stick it into your food. They'll give it to you in a container where you can choose to add it. Mm-hmm. You just look at the ingredients. If you see these are in here, just be careful about what kind of sauce you add. For you, I would order they have 3 sizes. I'd order the large size. Doesn't need to be from Power Supply, but since you have it at work, it's really a no-brainer. I mean, it's just I would do that. I mean, I don't see any reason. Because you're used to eating out for lunch, so you're not used to preparing it.
Yeah, I did this for a while. I don't know. I just didn't get back.
Yeah, and it gets boring, and we can write a recipe for you for lunch if you want to bring food into work.
No, I would rather someone give me food than me have to make it.
Okay, well that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Is there any Asian restaurants near you?
We have one Thai place.
One Thai place?
Yeah.
Most Asian restaurants will create steamed food. And you can do something like steamed shrimp and vegetables. Sauce on the side. The sauces they add are loaded with sugar. So if you get it on the side, you can be careful about how much you have. 2 ounces of that sauce has something like 60 grams of sugar. It's insane. So just be very careful with how much you add. Or add something like soy sauce or something instead of any. That has too much sodium, but at least it doesn't have the sugar in it. Or any kind of grilled chicken or anything else like that they may have. The trick is that we want, instead of the rice or the noodles to be the base, we want the vegetables to be the base. They're all chopped up for you. They're already cooked. All you gotta do is eat them. It's easy. Alright, so we got lunch 1, lunch 2. Alright, let's talk about dinner and snacks. What do you usually do for dinner? Do you go out or do you make food at home?
I have no consistency.
Well, why don't we give you a meal you can get when you're going out, and we'll do when going home.
Okay.
What kind of, maybe some restaurants you've been to recently? Or we can just go with a generic type of restaurant.
Yeah. Unfortunately, where I live, like 2/3 of what's there are just sandwich places. I mean, Whole Foods is right there.
Well, even at a sandwich place, most sandwich places will make their sandwich into a salad, and that is way better right off the bat.
Okay.
So if you go
so
to
basically like Panera or something like
Panera's okay, Panera, or I'm not sure. I know Subway does. I'm not sure if Potbelly does salads or not. But we'll say for Subway, I think they do. All you do is you get the same food and you just put it into a salad instead. That will deal with all the carbohydrate problem right off the bat. Just be careful about, watch for croutons and dressing. There are some sweetened dressings like honey mustard and stuff like that. Anything that has some kind of sugar in it you want to avoid. We'll deal with the fats another day. It hasn't been a major issue in your diet so far. If you go into more of like an American restaurant, you can get something like steak with mixed vegetables and sweet potatoes, something like that. Tell them not to add butter. They can put half a stick of butter in with your steak and just melt it in, and it's terrible for you. Again, we'll get to fats another day. Right now, sugar is the big elephant in the room. Okay, so that's 2 ideas, right, for dinner, if you're buying dinner. What about if you're making dinner? And does making dinner usually involve heating something that comes in a box, or do you actually cook it?
Depends on the day. My girlfriend is Korean, so a lot of the stuff, if we end up making it, it's more of that.
Okay, well, let's get to a Korean dinner. One of the very famous ones is your bibimbap, right? And I don't know how to spell that. The only concern on this one is how much rice. And we can, if you use a mixed grain rice, it'll be much more healthy for you. Particularly mixed grain with, we'll say, twice vegetables. You'll be good to go. Other thing is bibimbap usually have a sauce that has sugar in it, so you have to remove the sugar from whatever sauce. If she's making the sauce, then obviously she can not add sugar to it, or she can buy one without sugar. One note on that, artificial sugars are still sugars. So I don't care if it's green, pink, yellow, or blue packages. All the current research indicates that your brain responds to the sugar the same way as if it's real sugar, and causes the same response, even if they have less calories. And they don't nearly have as little calories as they advertise. They actually have a lot more. Certain loopholes in our labeling allows them to say it has 0 when it doesn't. So sauces will often rely on sucralose, which is what is in Splenda. Yeah, this is what's in Splenda in the yellow package. So you want to look for that too. It's just going to be an ingredient you have to look for, because it'll say 0 sugar, but it's not 0.
Okay, I'm not doing a lot. You're not.
Good?
Yes. You're not.